Many spend their days passively searching for something interesting to do. Others dig in and find it. While nothing is certain, anything is possible. And the anticipation leads you into action. Because it's here that adventures begin. Stories are unearthed. Secrets are revealed. Fortunes are found. Mysteries are solved. And the past is brought to life. Nothing valued is ever lost. It's simply waiting to be discovered. So here's the question. What are you looking for?
It's Thursday, it's 8 o'clock, and it's the big detecting show. Good evening. Hope you are all well this evening. Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Dave. Sorry, got
well?
no green screen. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. Got no green screen because it fell down. No, it didn't. It's in the wife's car. Don't ask.
Yeah, but you've got a beautiful fire behind you. Look at that.
It's that time of year.
It is.
Do
you know what? Do you know what I've just been relaxing doing before the show? Watching Bob Ross.
Oh.
BBC 4, 7 o'clock every night. Bob Ross, Joy of Painting. I was mesmerised.
Although the other week I put it on and his afro went. So I don't know what year that was. It's probably 86 or something like that. But yeah, it's something. It's what's it called? That thing on YouTube
Joy of
where
Painting.
you no, when you watch it and it's like sounds. It's like someone going, "Oh, ACMD or something." It's really relaxing anyway to watch Bob Ross. Yeah, I like that.
No idea what you just said.
No, I don't. You know those videos on YouTube that have funny sounds and things. Someone will say it in the comments.
What, cats?
No. Don't worry about it. But it's relaxing, and that's ASMR. Philip Wills, ASMR. Have you not seen ASMR, Dave?
Is that a new frequency thing on the new Schnorbits metal detector that's coming out?
No, but Google it.
Not
ASMR.
now.
No, not now. But before you go to bed, it might help you sleep. It's a weird kind of
like
thing.
the metronome.
No. It's people doing different things. So it could be someone dripping a tap. It could be someone scratching a blackboard. Well, I don't know about a blackboard, but a cat purring. It's certain sounds which are meant to sync with the brain or something. So a bit like a metal detector, like a multi-frequency hits the ground. This hits our brains. So,
talking of metal detectors, you've been out to play with one this last weekend, haven't you?
Yes. The Atrex took that
and
out.
Without going into too much detail,
there might be
your
another
initial
one.
thought. You've just done a Michael Caine then. What were your initial thoughts?
It looks the same. A lot of people say it looks the same, but it's got some new little gizmos in it. The thing I was blown away first was the sound quality. It was pretty amazing because it's obviously got Wi-Fi headphones now. The sound was really good and clear. I went out in beginners mode, so I had the beginners mode settings and was detecting for 4 or 5 hours with the beginners mode. Found a nice medieval horse shield with the beginners mode, which is nice. And then I thought, I'm going to go to pro mode. So I got my phone out, linked it wirelessly, Bluetooth to the Atrex, and uploaded it, flashed it within 30 seconds to the pro mode, which is pretty cool. And I didn't have a great signal in the field. So, yeah, the colour screen's great. Really like the colour screen. And it's definitely better than the Auto 71 so far, I think, because it seemed to have a little bit more depth and the recovery speed seemed a little bit quicker. I think there's a new circuit board in there or something. But, yeah, really liking it. It absolutely got covered in rain and mud, and it's still working, even though it isn't waterproof. I had the white coil on it. But, yeah, and hopefully getting another new machine this weekend to try out as well. So I'm going to be busy the next few months.
It'll be interesting to hear what that is. Are you at liberty to tell me yet?
No.
Okay. We'll move on a little bit. Don't forget tonight, for those of you who have entered, and it's far too late to enter now, we have the Composite Cleaning Pencil Christmas Draw, which will take place around 9 p.m. 338 participants and 3 prizes. Apologies to everybody. As you can see the background, the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. We are currently down. We're transferring to a new server, and hopefully there'll be lots of new, good-looking features upon it when we get it to how we want it. I'll leave that there. We've also been communicated. I don't know if you are aware of this, but the Association for Metal Detecting Sport have announced that they will be representing the metal detecting community, similar to the National Council for Metal Detecting, as of the 1st of January. And you can get your membership and insurance to them for £5 only. And we hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we've been asked to come the some of the principal members of that come on the show and basically give a bit of insight. So we'll be hopefully getting on them sooner rather than later. Also, and I'd like to say hello to Emma Watts, who has said that on tonight's show, her 3 favourite people will be on. I asked, was it Matt and Luke Goss and Nicola? And she said no, she didn't like Bros. So there's Adrian, here's Dave, and here's Nicola. Good evening, Nicola.
Hi, Adrian.
How are you?
And everybody. Great.
Hi, Nicola.
Great to be here. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
Nice to have you. Adrian, I'll let you start for a change because I talk too much.
Hi, Nicola. Lovely to have you on tonight. You'd just like to give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Okay, right. Hello, everybody. My name is Nicola White. I'm a mudlark and an artist. And so let's talk about the mudlarking. So I searched the River Thames primarily for history and fascinating stories from the past that are related to the objects that I find. And I also collect objects along the river to use in my art. So I also do a bit of metal detecting too. So I do a bit of everything, really. Yeah, I'm just absolutely passionate about it. I've been doing it for about, let's say, 15 to 20 years now, since when I moved to London. I hadn't realised that mudlarking was actually a thing. I moved to Greenwich and I grew up in Cornwall, so it was a bit like a replacement beach for me, the foreshore along the Thames at Greenwich. And when I went down onto the foreshore, I started to find little bits of pottery and glass. And then I found my first coin, and there was no going back after that. So since then, I go down whenever I can at low tide to search for objects that the tide has left out and research them. And then I make videos about them. So I'm very fortunate to be able to share my passion with so many people.
I can see from behind you, you've got an amazing array of finds, I presume, that you found over the years?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, there's lots behind me. There's some to the side, and yeah, completely surrounded by them.
So how you've been doing it? There's quite a few years. How often do you go out?
Well, I have a tide timetable, and I'll have a look at that and plan a good 3 weeks or so in advance and make sure I know when the good low tides are. I have been about 3 times this week already, actually, making the most of the rest of the low tides before the end of the year, and when it's light as well, because obviously in the winter it's a little bit harder because the tides can be low, really nicely low in the evening. And although I do night lark, it's nice to go during the day. So the tides are low in the morning at the moment, and so I've been going most days. It's kind of, you can kind of get a little bit obsessed with it, really. And I suppose because you can only go when the tide is low, and you get that excited feeling when you're on the way down there to search for history and for treasures. It's hard to sit at home when you know there's a really good tide.
Yeah, it's like metal detecting as well, which obviously you've got a metal detector there beside you, but you sort of lay in bed at night almost getting like Christmas Eve really as a child, looking forward to going out. But you said you go out in the evenings at night.
Yes.
Is that, or do you go on your own or?
Sometimes, but I mean, obviously it's quite, I suppose being nighttime down by the river, it's probably better to go with other people. So usually I go with other people, and I've got a really nice headlamp. And at first, the first time I went at night, I was thinking, well, how on earth are you going to really find anything? But I think because you're concentrating on a relatively small area, it's surprising what you can find, because you're just focused on the area around you.
Yeah, I was going to say London at night isn't it can look lovely, but it does bring out some interesting people. But
they're not often down on the foreshore, so
no, not alive anyway. Sorry,
but there's a lot of rules. There's a lot of rules and regulations behind actually participating in mudlarking upon the Thames.
There is, yeah. You do have to have a permit from the Port of London Authority to mudlark on the Thames, and there's all the information on the Port of London Authority website. But it's about, I think now it's about £90 per 3 years, so it's really good value, to be honest. And they give you a map of where you can go. There are certain areas where you can scrape. There are other areas where you can't. And a standard permit holder can scrape down 7.5 centimeters, and we also, which is
actually quite a lot, considering I would have expected it to be for basic. No, you can't scrape at all, so that's actually quite a lot, really.
Yeah, it is good. And to be honest with you, I don't really scrape. I never scrape down that far because you can't really see for the mud. I mean, most of the finds which I find are surface finds. They're sitting on the top. I mean, if they're poking out of the mud, then I'll have a little bit of a dig around. But most of the things I find are sitting on the surface.
Well, jumping back a little bit, Nicola, how did this come about? Your taking part in the historical aspects of your hobbies?
How did it come about, taking part in the historical?
The mudlarking, the metal detecting. Where did it all come from originally?
Well, when I moved to London and went down onto the beaches of Greenwich and started to find little pieces of pottery and glass and what have you, and then I found my first coin, and it was just the idea that, I think it wasn't even that old, I think it was George V or something, but it was just the idea that somebody had lost this like 100 years ago, and here I was holding it, and it made me want to find out more about it. And then I went back down to the river and started to find other things like military buttons and little pieces of jewelry, and it just fueled my imagination, and so I just became really excited about it, and that's where it came from, really. I think there's something about since I've been mudlarking, I've learned so much, so many miscellaneous facts that I would never have learned if I had not been doing mudlarking. There's something very motivating about researching finds that you find yourself, aren't there? I'm sure you find that yourselves as well with metal detecting.
Did you like history at school?
Well, to be honest with you, it was so very dusty. You're sitting in the room, and it was all rather boring, really. It was all about Henry VII's foreign policy and all this. I didn't even know what a policy was, even. It was kind of boring, but there's something fascinating about hold something in your hand. It's like history you can touch, that you pick up on the river. And I think that's why a lot of children are really inspired by mudlarking too, because they can actually go down there and touch it instead of just hear about these characters from hundreds of years ago in these history books. Yeah,
I agree. I wasn't that keen on history at school, but it wasn't the subject. It was more the teachers and the environment and sort of an old bent over book with someone had chewed trying to work from. But if somebody had taken me metal detecting on a World War II base or a Roman villa or something, I think that would have really got me interested in the hobby, being able to touch it, feel it and see it and think, this is 2,000 years ago since someone touched this, or 100 years. I think it'd be good if schools did let children out metal detecting, although not on my permission, or mudlarking. But you've had looking at your Instagram account, because you've got a lot of followers on Instagram and YouTube. Do you often get asked people to come out and mudlark with you?
Yeah, I do get a fair amount of people asking, actually, but it's just, for so many reasons, it's just not possible for me to take people out. So for a start, I've got to admit, it would sort of, apart from the fact that I go out and I'm filming for my YouTube channel, it's also, it would sort of spoil the process for me as well, really, because I'd get so worried that people weren't going to find anything, that I'd be more worried about them and I wouldn't be able to enjoy what I was doing. So, and there's all the restrictions as well. It's a big responsibility taking people out on the foreshore. So I think it's best to leave that to proper organisations like Thames Discovery and Thames Explorer Trust. And there are some people who do mudlarking outings.
Oh, really? All right. Okay.
Well, yes, there are actually. There are. Well, Steve Brooker, he does mudlarking outings. And even though Thames Discovery isn't exactly, they're not mudlarking outings, they're more interested in the archaeological features of the foreshore. It's a great place to start, to go on a guided walk on the foreshore.
And what made you want to put it on YouTube?
Well, it wasn't even part of my plan. I used to, years ago, I used to work in the corporate world, and I gave that up to do more art. I wanted to do something with my life that made me really happy when I woke up in the morning, not something which made me feel quite bored. So I saved up to leave with the idea that I was going to make art and mostly just make art, actually. But then one day I was just sitting on the Thames foreshore about 6 years ago, and I filmed a few finds that I'd picked up that morning and put it on YouTube for some reason. And it just kind of evolved, really. People seemed to really enjoy it. So I put more on. And at that time, there wasn't anybody else doing mudlarking on YouTube. And now if you put mudlarking on YouTube, you get, mudlarking all over the place, which is great because people are very inspired by it. It's really taken off for so many reasons.
Yeah,
it wasn't a plan. Yeah, it wasn't a plan.
Very popular now, very, very popular.
And away from the Thames, you can mudlark anywhere. I mean, Mudlark there's a small, we'd call it a beach by the river in Congleton, in Daning Valley pasture, and it's only a little where the water's obviously eroded everywhere. But I'm finding bits of pottery. Well, my lad loves going down there and picking up pottery. There's loads in the garden from there, so you can find it more or less anywhere which is accessible and safe.
You can. I think there's something about mudlarking which is sort of linked very strongly to London because of the word mudlark, because the origins of the word mudlark is from pre-Victorian times, the young children and old ladies who used to go around looking for anything they could sell in the mud. They used to be spotted up to their knees with no shoes. And they were the original mudlarks. And I suppose because of that word, it always makes me think of London. But definitely people mudlark all over the place now, don't they? In the States, all around the country. And so I guess it's not just specific to London.
Yeah. Have you done canals as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, with Simon, with Sci Finds.
Oh,
We
yeah,
saw the video.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
we did.
he
Yeah.
arranged that. So, I mean, it was him that had that. He suggested it to the Canal and River Trust, actually, and we ended up going down to the Regent's Canal when that was drained. That was an experience. Goodness me, such a lot of stuff that ends up at the bottom of canals.
Yeah. Have you found it? What's your favourite find in a canal? Because obviously they don't go that far back.
No. Oh, crikey. I'm trying to remember what I found in that canal now. There were so many weird things. I did find a few stoneware bottles, but I actually found a few weird old plastic toys, and they're quite fun. I mean, I do like finding the old plastic toys.
I like the creepy doll's head that one of the other people found.
Oh yeah, the one with nails in. You know what? I do like odd things, but I didn't keep that.
Is that the wooden dog? Is that
no,
the wooden...
not the wooden dog. No. He's there. He's there. Look.
Oh, could you show up everyone? Because that. Have you seen this, Dave?
No.
This is my wooden dog.
Wow.
Hasn't got a name, actually. Maybe everybody would like to suggest a name for my dog here. So this, actually, when I first spotted him on the foreshore back in February, I think it was, I saw him lying there and I thought, oh, I'm definitely not going to take him home because he's just too weird. I thought he was something voodoo, because as you can see, he's got nails in his back there. And he's also got a little glass bit here, because this is his backpack, and inside there would have been medicines and herbs and things like that. But
wow.
I left it there. But when I got home, I put it on Twitter, and I was contacted by a professor at a university and said, "Oh, you really ought to go and get it because it's actually a Nikisi power figure from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it's probably late 19th century, and he is a bit moth-eaten."
I think he's absolutely gorgeous.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
That is. How the hell did that get in the Thames?
Well, the thing is, I mean, actually, now I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? We should never really judge things by how they look initially, because when I did start to research it, it's actually fascinating. He is a Nikisi Kozo. He's a dog, because often they are power figures of humans. And it's very possible that this dog was, let's say, confiscated by a missionary or taken away by collectors from the DRC and ended up over here. And this dog would have been made by a sculptor and a type of a spiritual doctor as well. And they have like a purpose, but they're not evil, And actually, I left him in the car for 2 days because I didn't want him to come in. But now we're just the best of friends.
Well, talking of friends, what do your friends think of what you do? They think you're mad. Not the art, the mudlarking.
No, I don't know. No, I think they're all quite fascinated. I've never met anybody who isn't absolutely intrigued and enthralled by the stories. Once you start talking about it and show somebody what you found, and they all want to go. I think that's why. Yeah. Mudlarking has become so popular. There's been books written about it, as you know, and so many YouTube channels, and it really gets people's imagination going. I'll put it back.
I think you should call him Papa Wemba. He was a famous Congolese musician.
Papa Wemba?
Yeah, they are.
What about that then? What do you think? Oh,
yeah.
What?
How the hell do you know that?
I know things. I'm a dad.
Famous Congolese musician.
Yeah.
Come.
I'll put him back now.
Yeah. Get Papa Wemba on Spotify. You love him.
Papa Wemba. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google that tonight and.
Look at him. He's writing it down.
No, I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down as well. So don't forget.
Yeah. How do you find storing all your finds, Nicola? Because obviously that's probably just a few months behind you, but where do you store them?
Well, they're gradually taking over the flat. So I do have a few display cabinets. I'm sort of got a nice museum theme going on where I live, actually. So I've got quite a few display cabinets where I keep things. Things go through a process. They start off probably in the kitchen underneath like in a dish, soaking for ages, and then they gradually move into the studio, and then I start to display them. And I've got some really nice cabinets as well, which I recently got to just display things in. So they're all displayed, and if I'm not going to display them, and if I realize I don't need them, I reluctantly get rid of them.
Yeah.
You see, this is where you're missing the trick now. You need to get some space, and you need to get some grants and open the Museum of London Mudlarking. Even he's nodding. You need to get some funding and open the London Museum of Mudlarking.
Well, they are working on that, actually. There's some people working on that. Jason Sandy and Nick Stevens, who recently wrote the book about mudlarking.
Mm-hmm.
So they are working on the idea of a museum. So yeah, I mean, it would make perfect sense to have a museum. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, given the history and the obviously the mudlarking back when it original through to modern day, and I mean, we used to have the TV on the show on TV with what was his name? I didn't like him. British, I can't remember his name. It was his name. Remember, it was on Discovery Channel.
There's a lot on there.
Famous bloke off
Kenny Everett,
Big Breakfast.
Evans.
Johnny Vaughan.
Yeah, Johnny Vaughan.
Oh,
yeah. Like him. Yeah. Used to be a mudlarking program with him. Introduced you to a lot. So, and that was nearly 20 years ago, that wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Steve Brooker and Johnny Vaughan. And I mean, I used to enjoy that. I used to enjoy the part where they were finding things. I wasn't so keen on the bit afterwards. It was a bit kind of laddish for me, I guess. But
Steve Brooker was great on it. It was Johnny Vaughan.
Yeah. Well, he's really knowledgeable. He does know his stuff. There's the Society for Thames Mudlarks too, and he's one of those. And there's only about 50 of them, and so he's in the Society of Thames Mudlarks, and he's very knowledgeable. He's very very good.
So obviously you've had multiple finds. I'm not going to ask what's your favourite because you've probably got 100. What would be your most memorable?
Oh, there's so many. By the way, I found a cannonball today.
No way.
I did. Yeah, I did. I've got it here. I've got a few things here next to me. I actually found a cannonball. Oh, this is like so heavy. Hang on. Look.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I know. I'm so lucky. I often find, look at that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it?
Yeah, I often find a grape shot, but I've never found a cannonball. So, yeah, everyone, this is the first little peek at the cannonball on my dirty fingernails as well. So, yeah, that was a bit of a treat.
That's one of your dream finds, isn't it, Dave? Cannonball.
It is one of mine, yes.
Oh, really?
I was privy to one metal detector the other week, and he nearly got a spade in the back of his head.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I mean, I've got so many favourite finds, and my favourite ones are ones that I can link to a person or a place. But of the finds that I can't link to a person or a place, this is one of my other favourites. It's this beautiful onion bottle.
Oh wow!
Which I absolutely love. But when I found it, it was in pieces. You can probably see there. But I kept digging around and got all the pieces out and stuck it together. You wouldn't know really that it's broken, but it's absolutely adorable, and it's really like a little onion, isn't it?
Yeah. So what era is that from?
Oh, well, this one dates to about 1690. So it's just incredible, isn't it, to think of somebody drinking something out of this bottle all that time ago. It's really special. It's very special.
Nicola, you know the glass, the rainbow style glass on that bottle? Do you know how they made that? And the only reason I ask is I found a surface find whilst metal detecting a few months ago. It's like rainbow, isn't it? It's like
really iridescent.
Yeah.
I think that it's actually wasn't deliberately made like that. I don't think. I think it's just the age and the bottle being sick or something. I'm not sure. I've got to be honest with you. I'm not sure, but I don't know if they actually deliberately made it like that.
Right. Okay. I just found a piece about that big.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Really, all the colours of the rainbow.
Yeah. And it's old. It's obviously old, but I don't know how they made it. Probably Google it tonight and sit there for 4 hours watching.
When you find out, let me know.
Yeah.
I've also got a beautiful Roman pot here as well. Really nice.
She's doing this on purpose now, Adrian.
Was that found like that?
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, I mean, it was deep in. It was actually in the mud. It's a poppy head beaker, and the reason being because it looks a bit like a poppy head, and it's even got little dots on it around the side. So it's just so delicately made. But it was under the mud. I was just extraordinarily lucky that it came up when it did.
That's lovely.
I'm mesmerised. That's 3 up to now, and I'm mesmerised. Go on, what's next?
What's next? Right. Well, where should we start? Well, I brought a few pipes along with me, obviously, and but I will show you what one of my favourite finds is, and this is the good for me. This kind of is the essence of mudlarking. You find a little brass tag, a little piece of metal, and it doesn't look interesting whatsoever, but the fact that there's a name and an address on it means that it just transforms into a brilliant story. And this little piece of brass has the name F. Jury, 72 Woolwich Road. And F. Jury was a man called Frederick Jury, who was born in about 1875. And he ended up about 1875, I think. And because the name and the address is on there, I was able to find out all about him. And he went to Australia and joined the Australian Imperial Force, and then went to fight in World War One. But he was quite old to fight in the war, and that's why I think he went to Australia. And then he was hit by a grenade. He lost some fingers, and he came back and married his landlady. And he died in about 1932. And so then I found where he was buried, and it's just around the corner from where I live, actually. And he was in a pauper's grave. And so the reason it was particularly special was because he'd never had any children of his own. And so this little tag, just from being on the foreshore amongst a load of metal, this story opened up all about this man who fought in the war and was alive, and it was great to be able to tell his story.
That's amazing.
There's another story from the website I'm going to ask you about a little bit later. One of the good things about having new people on the show who've not been on before, they do bring new viewers to the show. So good evening to you all. I hope you enjoy the show and you pop on again in the future. One of them I've just actually followed on YouTube, Manchester Mudlark, simply because it's
Manchester Mudlark, Sarah.
About half an hour from my house. So I'm very excited because they're not far away, and I love to see the history locally to me that I've not seen before. So
I love them; they're brilliant. They find loads of excellent finds. Yeah. She's very jealous of my finds, though, aren't you, Sarah?
so am I, and so's Adrian, and probably everyone else.
She makes very good Empress grade tea as well.
My eyes keep getting drawn to the dog constantly.
Yeah,
I know. He's quite a showstopper, isn't he? Can't believe I was terrified of him at first.
I would be. I didn't realise how big it was. I saw it on your Instagram, and I also saw the mug you got at Halloween. Was it a mug or like a tankard? Had all like.
Might have been a plate, Adrian, or a
no.
spoon.
It was a greeny yellowy blue.
Yeah, the teapots, the good teapots. Yeah. Actually, that is one of the things I didn't keep, and I gave it to somebody. That teapot. I
was going to ask you that question because it's same as metal detecting. You'll sometimes get home. I find stuff when I'm out, and like obviously, but. There'll be bits where I think, oh yeah, and if it's a tin can, obviously I'll pick it up and dispose of it the right way. Yeah. But sometimes there's bits of lead, and sometimes there's a bit of something, bit of brass, and you have that decision when you're cleaning it: do I keep it or is it trash?
It's really hard, isn't it?
It is really hard, and I think if I lived in a big house, I would be a hoarder from hell. I think I'd even keep like a 1978 Tizer can, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
you did.
it,
Tell me about it.
yeah, it's hard. I found a bottle top the other week. Do you remember the 10p refundable bottles you used to get?
Yeah.
Or 5p, I think it had on the cap. And, that's a bit of rubbish, but it's a bit of history. And then it made me think, well, hang on, why don't we do that nowadays? We moan about plastic,
It's true. It's very true.
If we had glass bottles again and you got not 10p, but say 20p or 25p, we'd take it back. And we've gone backwards. But yeah, that's one of my favourite finds, a little bottle top, Corona. I think it was 5p refundable. And I remember as a kid finding those bottles in streams and taking them to the shop.
Me too. Tweets. I remember that as well.
Yeah.
Down at the beach, used to go back and then get enough to buy some crisps.
Yeah.
And then go out the back of the shop, get the bottles again and take them round in the front of the shop.
I did realise that and did do it a couple of times. But that's when a portion of chips was 15p. So it's going back a bit. But going back to you're saying about beaches, do you do much beach combing, Nicola? Obviously not in London, but do you go and travel?
Yeah, on the beach, I will definitely. Actually, if you go out to the Thames Estuary near London, out in Kent, there's beautiful, really remote, wild areas, and it's really like a beach there. It's the nearest you're going to get to a beach, to a bit like Cornwall, but maybe not quite as pristine. And I love to see what gets washed up on beaches. Whenever I'm in Cornwall, I go beach combing. I was in America a couple of years ago when we were still able to travel, and I found a huge, massive part of a whale's vertebrae washed up on the beach, and that was just incredible because obviously we just don't find that here. No. And in the Channel Islands as well, I go there quite a lot, and I'm always out looking on the beaches, for anything I can. I particularly like a good bleached bird skull or something like that,
Not a badger's one.
Oh, badger too, actually. I might have a badger skull. I've got a little row of skulls up there, actually.
Well, that historically they bring evil into your house, badger's skulls.
I did not know that.
Nicola, don't listen to him. He's scared of badgers. There's a trailer thing on the show, Adrian and badgers. He's lying to you. Badgers are lovely.
No. I read it somewhere. I think it's in the Bible or something somewhere about badger skulls. You shouldn't keep them in your house.
No, you were thinking about the Beano.
Sorry, Nicola, I'm joking. I just had a few incidents over the last few months with badgers and badger holes and things, and I just don't like them. Don't like them at all, really. So they tried to attack me a few months ago. Yeah, but badger skulls. I know what you mean. There's something about a good bleached skull that is quite fascinating. Yeah. And being an artist, I'm not saying you make hats out of badger skulls, but But have you got some art there? Because you obviously something you've got. Art.
So I've got a couple. I'm mostly what I make at the moment. I've been making a lot of glass fish out of glass that I collect. I've got a couple. Oh, I've got a really nice colourful one here, actually, in my little cabinet. This is glass that I've collected along the river.
Oh wow!
That's absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
that is fantastic.
It's quite a special one, this one, actually, because it's really nice old splatter glass. It probably dates right back to Victorian times. And I'm just going to grab the other one.
And it actually looks like a fish. I mean, some people will make a glass thing out of glass and it won't look like a fish.
Me.
Looks like a fish. Yeah, me too.
Wow. Yeah. I'll tell you what, you get a light behind those. They look lovely.
Yeah. Marble for eyes as well.
I want one. Where can we buy them?
Well, I used to use Etsy, but I don't use Etsy anymore. I left Etsy. And so now I've got a Ko-fi site, and that's where I sell my stuff now.
What site? Sorry, Ko-fi?
Oh. Yeah, it's Ko-fi. It's
Isn't that what you have in the morning with your croissant?
It's this site that you see if people want, when you have a channel, all the people who have, well, you could have one too, who have YouTube channels, have a Ko-fi site, and people can give you a virtual tip, like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. But you can also have a shop on there. If I put it up on the, I'll give you the address after. It's quite a good little site. You have a site and people can send you a virtual cup of tea or coffee.
Can they send cake? Because I'm quite partial to cake.
Cake too. Yeah,
that's interesting. Because Etsy. I've heard a few people have been coming off there recently. We won't go into that, but Ko-fi sounds very interesting because it does help, doesn't it? If someone buys you a coffee, you're providing free entertainment on YouTube and going out every morning or in the week. It's almost like a television show now, isn't it? YouTube, a lot of channels.
People are watching it more, I think. There's just so many great channels, aren't there, to watch, and it can be so original. And I think people like the fact that it's not as clean cut and professional and swish as TV, and you can also be part of a community and write comments, and it's quite nice.
Adrian, I'm liking Manchester Mudlarkers more and more and more.
Why is that? What?
I've put the comments on the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yes, you did. You did, Badger. Yeah, that's true, actually.
So this is your Ko-fi. Ko-Fi.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. I've never even heard of it.
Could we go to the shop?
It's really good. Yeah,
if you want, Adrian, you want to buy some sweets?
Yeah, and you'll see all the ones that are sold. And those are replica tobacco pipes, peace pipes, and
is that? Oh, that's lovely,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's
and so something so simple as that boat. It is simple,
it's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's very simple and beautiful.
I'd still get it wrong. The seagulls would be upside down. Sorry, the gulls.
Or I'd probably make mine out of Tupperware or something totally wrong. Talking of Tupperware, nothing wrong with Tupperware if they're watching. Do you find a lot of plastics? Have you seen it increase over the years and waste on the Thames?
I do find a lot of plastic. Yeah, loads and loads. I collect a lot of plastic up when I go, and amongst the plastic rubbish, you get so many bottles, and I've found over 130 messages in bottles now, actually, since I started mudlarking. Yeah,
I was going to come to that question, so you can carry on with that because you've got a number of images on your website of the.
I've got quite a nice file of river stories. This is full of messages. I mean, they're not all the originals because sometimes I don't take them all because some messages in bottles are quite sad. People often write a message to say goodbye to somebody. It's like channeling a lot of emotion into a bottle and letting it go down the river and take the sort of grief away. And so obviously I'm not going to take these messages, but take photos and then print them out. But some messages are a lot of fun. They're from children and adults too. And often it's people who want to put something good out into the world and connect with somebody through a message in a bottle. And,
so what's the of what you've been able to find out? What's the oldest message that you've actually found?
Well, none of them have been particularly old, to be honest. The oldest one was probably about 14 years old, and it was sent from Belgium for the opening of a sea life centre. But when I found it, of course, they had drastically changed all their policies and they didn't want to know about it because they didn't, of course, put plastic in the water anymore. And so they just ignored me when I said, I found the message in a bottle. They just didn't want to know.
And have you responded to many?
Oh yeah, I have. I've connected with quite a few people actually. Yeah, I've met quite a few people through the messages. Yeah, I met quite a few of the children who've sent messages in bottles, and there was some Swedish sisters who sent a message asking that if you find the bottle that you wish their brother, it was their 40th birthday. And when I found it, it was 7 years later, so he would have been 47. And they got in touch and we had a chat. And yeah, it's really interesting. It's really funny. It's a very serendipitous way of connecting with people.
I've got to, before just a sec, sorry, Adrian, I've got to say hello to my daughter who's watching. Hello, Alex, which is very unusual because she thinks I'm a bit of for doing this type of hobbies and such like. Hello, Alex.
Oh,
say hello, Alex. There you go.
47, isn't she?
No. 27. I had to do some math quick. Then.
Oh,
Yes.
Hello, Alex.
And if Hallie's up as well. Hallie's my granddaughter. Hello to Hallie.
Hello, Hallie.
9.
Cool. Dear. Granddad. Kerry, Nicola. Sorry, there's someone who's chatting in the show called Kerry, and she talks a lot. And her name's in my head.
Yes, she talks a lot.
Yeah, in a nice way.
Her name's in your head a lot.
No,
that's a bit weird, mate. Really, that isn't.
That's probably because I just did a podcast with her, and it's on the Lost Tapes of History on Spotify soon.
Adrian, I've heard mine, the completed version.
So
anyway,
but we move on. Nicola, that message in a bottle is really interesting because when I was a kid, we used to do it sometimes when we were on holiday and things like that. And I know they don't encourage it nowadays, obviously. But have you ever thought of writing a book on those? Because it must be really interesting. You've got a lot of them.
Yeah, it has crossed my mind. I'm sort of working on a project at the moment where that will be included. So it has definitely crossed my mind.
Yeah, because you can see there's a lot of books, well, not lots, but there's a fair amount of books on mudlarking and even metal detecting, and they all seem to sell well. I think it's one of those things, if you can't do the hobby, it's interesting reading up on it, on what you could do. You know what I mean? So, I just find it's a lot of messages to find in bottles. It's a lot. But out of interest, what's the most recent one? Is it how old's the most recent one you found?
Well, let me think. One which I suppose a 6-month-old one that's been in the river for 6 months. They generally, most of the ones I find are out on the Thames estuary, and they've sort of come from London and they haven't even really gone very far. But it's they tend to get stuck in little places in the estuary on the way out to the sea.
And
it's thrilling finding one, I have to say.
Yeah. When we had lockdown and you were allowed to go out mudlarking, I presume, obviously a lot of the ferries, taxis, and there wasn't a lot of traffic on the river. Did you notice a lack of fines because there was not so much wash?
Yeah, it was terrible, actually. Well, the first lockdown, we weren't allowed on the foreshore anyway.
Right.
Because they didn't want resources to be taken away from, if somebody got in trouble, on the foreshore, they didn't want people to have to go and rescue them and that kind of thing. So we weren't allowed to, but in the second one we were. But because there was no boating activity, the mud just piled up, the sludge just silted up very quickly. It made you realize what it would have been like back for the original mudlarks, because there weren't going to be clippers going up and down then. So yeah, it was surprisingly quick. The other interesting thing was that kind of nature started to come back into the centre of town as well. I saw waders and all sorts of birds, that weren't there generally before the lockdown. But yeah, mostly loads and loads of mud, and you couldn't see a single thing. It was quite depressing, and it was quite nice when the clippers started again and started to wash that mud off.
Have you ever found a seahorse?
Oh yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got it in my drawer. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I can show you actually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was dead, obviously. And there are seahorses in the Thames now, which is really exciting. I think it's hippocampus, and another variety as well. There's actually loads and loads of wildlife in the Thames now. But yes, this poor little chap obviously came adrift from whatever he was hanging on to. And so he ended up, there you go. And here, I'm going to get him set in some, what do they call it? You know, that plastic
Resin.
Yeah, he's so tiny. You know, just let me. Ooh.
Please don't drop it.
No.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Isn't he cute? Wow. Oh mate, honestly, he's just so sweet. I felt really sad when he died, right in front of me.
Oh.
Yeah, he was on his last little breaths, and I put him in a little cup, hoping he might sort of come back to life when I was down at the river. But no, he was gone.
That's amazing, though. You think how far the Thames has come in the last sort of 20, 30 years. It's getting cleaner, isn't it? It is getting cleaner.
Yeah, there's it's definitely, well, I mean, it is. Obviously, there are times when there's sewage in the river as well, but there are about 120 species of fish, and you see the cormorants come up with eels and flatfish and what have you, and there's so many more fish, much more than there were. There's seals, so yeah, it's hopeful.
Dig It Dan asks, does it smell, mudlarking?
Oh well, it doesn't smell bad. I've never noticed a bad smell at all. No, that's honestly, it might look like it should when you see all the mud and everything, but no, it doesn't smell. I've never had a problem with that.
No. Have you ever been? There was a question in the chat. I can't remember who it was. Apologies. Have you ever? And do you often get questioned by the police?
No, I've never been questioned by the police.
Really? That's interesting. Have you ever had to show your mudlarking?
Not that mudlarking.
So you never had to sort of show your license for mudlarking or anything?
Well, I know that they are now, not the police necessarily. I know that people are having their permits checked more often now, but I just haven't actually had mine checked. So, you do need to have your license in case you do have somebody ask for it. But thus far, I haven't had mine checked.
Do people have to be a UK resident, or can anyone? Could you in theory?
No, they don't. Anybody can apply for a permit. And it's online. It used to be physical little cards actually, but now it's all online, and it's just a case of filling in the online form.
Right.
And do you have to declare things to where metal detectorists would go to the portable antiquity scheme? Yeah. You have to, obviously, things over a certain age, the law still applies exactly the same.
Yeah, we do exactly the same as well through the portable antiquity scheme. We go to the fines liaison officer. In our case, mostly it's at the Museum of London. And it's if it's something over 300 years old, or if it's of significant historical importance or treasure. And it's a really important part of being a mudlark because obviously we want to preserve that history, and it belongs to everybody, and we can have a good database of what's been found where and how London was, so it's really important.
And Will Way asks, have you ever been caught out by the tide?
No, I'm really fortunate in that I haven't. No, because it would just be pretty awful to get caught out by the tide. I mean, you just have to be so aware of your surroundings and make sure that you know where your exits are. And I think it's the first thing I do when I'm down there is just to make sure, that I know exactly where I am. And there are certain pinch points, you have to get to know the areas you go. So, no, I haven't. But, I've had a few close calls. But no, no, I've never seriously got caught out by the tide.
Good.
Just sorry, Dave. Go on.
No, yourself.
I just need to go to the toilet. No.
No.
No, sorry. Nicola, you've got a metal detector there in the corner, I saw.
Yes.
Do you use that when mudlarking, or do you actually go metal detecting?
Yeah, I do go metal detecting. I've got two here, actually. I've got an XP Oryx and I've got an Ace Apex here, which, give a shout out to Regton as well, obviously. It's here. It's great. And I have this one, thanks to Regton, to try out on the Thames because the XP Oryx, the coil is just a bit too big to go down on the river. And this one, nice little coil here. Yeah. And I took it out the other day on the Richmond draw-off. The draw-off at Richmond happens once a year when the weir is closed and work is done. And so the tide goes right down. So I wanted to try it out on the Thames because generally I don't detect on the Thames because I really like looking by eye. But occasionally it's just nice to try. It's nice to try it. And I was really, really pleased because I did actually find quite a few coins and bits and pieces. So it was a big success. So, very occasionally I will take the detector down on the river. And I would recommend actually this Ace Apex on the foreshore. It was great. It really discriminated between the tons of iron and the coins. So,
yep, I've had one of those. Do
you know what I've just noticed about that, Adrian? For people whose eyesight's going, what a fantastic screen that's got on it, the Apex.
The Apex, I'd say, is one of my... sorry, Nicola, I field test machines for Treasure Hunting magazine.
Okay.
So I had the Apex, it must be a year ago now. And the first thing that came to me, it's ever so light. I mean, the XP you've got, the Orcs, is light anyway. But
really
the Apex is very, very light. But the screen is huge. If you have eyesight problems, you can clearly see the Apex. It's a lovely screen, nice interface. And, Regton's, that's nice of them to let you try that out.
Yeah, it's really, really great. I'm definitely looking forward to taking it out again. And I love the XP Oryx as well. And in fact, I found with that my lovely little silver denarius here.
Wow!
Right, I'm going.
Dave's going. Yeah.
This was like real beginner's detector's luck, with the XP.
I've never had any of that.
But anyway, it was brilliant. I'll show you it here. Yeah, look at that. I mean, look at the detail on that.
God, that's
amazing.
Good condition, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. So that was pretty amazing when that came out of the ground. Yeah. Upside down. But yes, absolutely beautiful. So very special.
Right. Luke, could you run, please, the Christmas pencil advert? And we will do the prize draw for the composite cleaning pencil Christmas draw. And then...
Sorry, I didn't realise till 5 seconds before the end of that. I was actually in it. I thought it was my screen. Sorry, no one probably saw that advert.
And before we do the draw, Adrian, would you kindly tell the viewers about the draw that we will be putting together for the Christmas week show?
Yes, Christmas week. We're going to have some free giveaways. One of them's going to be kindly from XP. Not the Deus 2, unfortunately. It's the Deus gold sifting.
No. I'm showing the box, but I won't show the picture on it.
Right. And lots of other things Yeah, Dave, they're going to think it's the Deus too. Yeah, we're giving away that. And we're going to give away lots of other goodies to people on the show. So sign up and watch it and all that.
So Adrian will make a nice little graphic for that, and we will sort of what we've got available, and we will sort out how that's going to be done. We may even do it via our new YouTube channel.
I think it's post. I think we've got a PO box. I was joking.
Anyway,
shall we stress envelope too?
Shall we bring up the draw? So I think I can actually do this. There you go. So this is the composite cleaning pencil Christmas prize draw, which Graham's kindly offered to do on the show. So 338 participants. And Nicola, if you haven't got one of these, you need to get one. Trust us. Trust us. 338 participants, 3 prizes. The first one for the composite cleaning pencil box full kit with the wax, with the cleaning solution, with all the attachments. The second prize is the cleaning clamp kit. Gets harder to say every week. And the final third prize is the beautiful little old school one of them composite cleaning pencil kit as well. So we've added all the participants into a spin the wheel, and we will get your name over to Graham Dempsey, or if you could contact Graham Dempsey yourself via composite cleaning pencil website or via Facebook, and we will let him know the details. He's probably actually watching. So hello Graham, hello Tash, hello Si. So without further ado,
a lot of entrants, as you can see.
A lot of entrants. So the winner of the first prize is Paul Matthews, number 188. So he wins the full kit.
Congratulations, Paul.
Well
Second prize for the clamp kit.
He shouldn't be allowed to enter. He might be related.
Graham, I'm going to redraw this particular person, seeing as it's your son.
He's only 4.
I don't know, these 4-year-old kids. So second prize is 269. Wayne Funnell.
Well done, Wayne.
Congratulations, Wayne.
And the third prize for the pencil box kit, which is
very nice,
sexy as hell. June Peachy, number 311. June
well done,
Peachy. So first prize, which is the full cleaning kit in the box. Very sexy box. We were there when he first came up with that idea, weren't we, Adrian?
Yeah.
Is to Paul Matthew. Second prize for the clamp kit is Wayne Funnell. And finally, the composite cleaning pencil kit in its sexy old school. It's actually an old school box, isn't it? Is June Peachy. Yes, it is.
Dave, if you click on that, just down below next to the speaker on the screen, if you click on that wheel.
That one there?
Does it show you who's won?
Oh, look.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
There you go.
We can see who's won.
What am I doing now? Where am I? There I am. Take that away.
YouTube.
Go away. Well, we're off. Right, that's gone. So thank you for that, Graham, and congratulations to all the winners, and thank you for all the participants also.
Yes, and just a quick thank you to Scotty B, who said he's donating weekend tickets to our Christmas prize draw for Detectorcon next year.
Thank you very much, young man. Much appreciated.
Very, very nice. So thank you very much.
But you didn't come to Detectorcon, so you didn't get the buzz I got.
Well, I'm a southerner and I live not too far away from Nicola, and it would have been like a 5-hour drive. And
it was for me.
And I had a family barbecue on. But hopefully next year I will make my way up north scarily. Bring lots of southern beer with me to drink up there. and I'll have a nice time. Detecticon next year. It's a metal detecting event, Nicola.
She was at Detectable.
Oh, of course you were. Yeah, you're a detectable.
It was such a lot of fun. I loved it.
Yes, she was at Detectable, and seeing she's now in the chat room, Dawn, Chip Chase, and Chris Langston didn't introduce us. Can I just point that out, by the way?
You did do a nice dance with Dawn, though, didn't you, Nicola?
I did. I had a great dance trainer. Dawn is pretty hot on those dance moves, and yeah, she taught me so well. Mind you, we practiced a lot.
Well, she drank a bottle of gin while she was with us, didn't she, Dave? Dawn.
No, it wasn't gin, mate. If you remember, it was hand sanitizer.
The hand gel. Yeah, that's right. She drank the hand gel.
True story, Nicola.
Word of it.
She kept putting a gin down, but she didn't realise it was where she was putting it down was the hand sanitizer, which was automatic.
No.
So she was filling up and thinking, this is a bit iffy. How drunk am I?
Yeah. You couldn't make that story up, could you? But that's true.
That's done.
Talking of sanitizing and things, Nicola, when you find a multiple of things from wood, plastics, metals, how do you go about? Some of them obviously need preserving, some of them need cleaning. How do you go about that? Do you use anything special or?
Well, I get a lot of advice actually from my mudlarking friends, because probably a lot of them are quite good. Some of them know how to do the metal bits, because obviously, you can get something lovely home that's metal, which is preserved in the lovely anaerobic mud of the Thames. And then when you get it out of that mud and get it home and it dries, it just starts falling apart, and this thing called wood. So, there's various things you can soak things in. But I can't remember the name of the metal. There's a particular thing that you can soak wood and metal in. It's not my forte, I've got to admit, is that. But I will tell you that when I find clay pipes, a lot of people say to me, how do you clean the clay pipes? But I don't clean them. Often when you find them, they come out of the mud and they're really black. They've been in the mud and absorbed it for so long, for so many years. But when you take it out, actually, they clean themselves. And all I do is rinse them off with water. I like to keep things as natural as possible, really. So,
did you find that one hole?
To be my longest pipe.
You found that one hole?
No, actually, this one has got a little crack in the middle. When I found it, it had broken in situ. In fact, if I hadn't found it that day, I think the next day it would have gone off with the tide. So I got it home and I put a little bit of wire through the hole there and then stuck it together. So,
Adrian, there's actually two holes, not one.
Sorry? Sorry. Yes. Problem is putting the wire in. When you do smoke it, like after the show, Nicola, you'll have trouble, won't you? So, yeah. No, everyone likes finding a pipe. I occasionally find the metal detecting, and not with the metal detector, but surface finding.
I've had an inbox during the show from Liam Dyson, who's found a bowl in his backyard, I think it was. And he sent it, not realising I'm a Freemason, but it's the Freemason's handshake on the bowl. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Actually, I think I may have. I saw somebody who found one like that on a Facebook page the other day. And funnily enough, I've got a bowl like that as well, but I hadn't realised it was a Freemason's handshake. So that's really good. I've learned something about my clay pipe. Yeah.
What do you do?
Sadly, sometimes we actually do learn things on this show.
Yeah. What do you do for researching your finds? Do you rely on the internet or books or people?
We're so fortunate now, aren't we, with all this information at our fingertips. I think, firstly, there's a big community of mudlarks, as you probably know, on Instagram, for example. And so many of them have so much information. A lot of them are very knowledgeable, like I was just saying about the cleaning, etc. They're also very knowledgeable about certain finds, and so they are a great source of help. But also the internet, for me, particularly when I'm researching a person. For example, I found a broken flagon the other day with a name of a grocer from the early 19th century, and I went on to Ancestry and looked him up and found out that his family had moved to Australia, and found out all all this information about it, and that was from the internet, and it's just brilliant having that there to be able to use.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that is like I've got a pipe bowl like that, not as nice condition as that. So that is a Masonic handshake.
It's a third degree handshake. That you see the thumb pressing down on the third finger. There you go.
That was so interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, really good.
Very nice.
I'll do that now. Yeah.
Who
Very
found
nice.
that,
And Liam Dyson, History Revisited, in the chat room, and he found that digging in his back garden.
That's amazing. Do you want to see my recent one that I found? It's a cock. Here, look.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What does that say on it?
Oh, it's amazing. It's missing his head, which is such a shame. But there's the bowl there. Oh.
What's the word at the bottom?
Right, the word there is Parnell. That's the pipe maker, and then it's got the serial number. But that is, I just love this. It's just so unique.
How mad's that? Somebody smoking a cock. I shouldn't have gone there, should I?
Yeah. Oh, honestly.
I didn't mean to. I only realised when I said it.
That would have been how youngsters go out in their designer trainers now, like £300-400.
Yeah.
That would have been the equivalent of look at my pipe. Look at the size of my.
Look at
that one.
that.
Yeah.
This is unfortunately both the cockerel and this lady have got their heads are missing. But this is a woman sitting on
the toilet.
Yeah, basically.
Brilliant.
And it's made by a French pipe maker called Louis Fiolet. And you can see her hitching up her skirts there, sitting on the commode. I mean, you have to wonder, don't you? I mean, who would have walked around smoking this?
And you can generally date a pipe by the size of the bore. Am I right?
Yeah, you can. You can. When pipes were first brought to England back at the end of the 16th century, they were tiny because there wasn't very much there wasn't very much tobacco. It was quite scarce and it was very expensive. But then gradually they got bigger over time. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I've never seen anything like that. Someone's sitting
I'm
on
not
the
a vibe.
toilet.
Or the cockerel. I just thought a pipe was a pipe with some. I mean, I've got one of the skull and crossbones on.
Victorians were so creative. I've always thought, they must have just sat there or lied in bed at night thinking, oh, what are we going to do now? What should we make now? I mean, you get these beautiful little Turks' heads, these lovely clay pipes with heads. I've got actually another favourite was this one here with the skull and crossbones.
That's exactly the same as mine.
Oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? It's so nice. It's the 17th Lancers or something, isn't it? I think.
Is it real? I have no idea. I've not even researched it.
It's like early government health warning, isn't it?
Yeah. So they were a really creative, inventive lot. They came up with so many incredible designs.
There you go. There's mine.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
It's actually pretty rubbish, that, isn't it? Can you see that all right?
A little bit fuzzy.
Yes, can see it. Yeah.
And then I've got another one here, which is it's like a deer on it or something.
Oh, nice.
And then a lion on the other side, and then I don't know what it is, the thing in the middle. Anyway, there's my show and tell. I've got a Paleolithic hand axe.
Oh, that's good. See, I'm not very good at flints. That's my weak point.
And some arrowheads.
Oh, lovely.
Nice.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Field walking finds them.
He does find some things, but not with the metal detector.
Fossils and everything. No metal detectors.
Yeah. So are you going out with Dawn, Digger Dawn?
Oh, yeah, well, we did. We met up. We had a great time.
You did, yes. You're going out again.
They are going to come to London, yes. Digger Dawn, my sister of mud, she's going to come to London, and so is Chris. So we're going to go out and do some detecting on the Thames. I think Cy Fines is going to come with us too, so it should be a real fun outing.
Cool.
And then you need to talk him into taking you out for a day on the hovercraft as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been on the hovercraft. Yeah.
Oh, you
That
have?
was- yeah. I've been on the hovercraft. Oh, it was amazing. Really good fun. I even got to drive it.
She's living all our dreams here, isn't it? We're going to have to live vicariously from Nicola from now on.
Yeah. No, that sounds amazing. I've never been on a hovercraft, actually. I've been on a lot of things, but
quite exhilarating. Yeah, it's quite exhilarating.
Yeah. British invention, isn't it? So hovercraft. Did you know that, Dave?
Yes, sorry. I did. Yes. I think I actually went on one over the channel many years ago as well. Vaguely remember it.
Yeah,
I was but a wee person.
Yeah, me too.
So you're metal detecting. Do you metal detect on any private permissions, any farms yourself, or is it solely currently on the Thames?
So I've been on the Thames a few times, and I've been on permissions of friends like Simon, friend Sean. So I've been on a few different permissions, and I've been to a few rallies. So I've been trying it all out. Yeah, it's been good fun, and I actually quite enjoy, as you do, I'm sure, wandering around in a field, just lost on my own thoughts. Do
you find that with your mudlarking as well? Do you find it good for your mind and relaxing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's just great. You can just really get lost in the moment and just really focus on what you're doing. It's quite good. I think people who have maybe a bit of anxiety or they can't relax, I think wandering around just searching, it's just when you can really be in the moment, and it's very, very meditative and good for your mental health, for sure, absolutely. And you're outside, you've got the noises all around you, the birds.
Yeah, it's I think mudlarking and metal detecting are hobbies which, if you do get into it and enjoy it, there's nothing. I've had loads of hobbies, from flying kites to shooting guns to fishing, you name it. But mudlarking, metal detecting, for me, it just ticks every box. Fresh air, exercise, same as mudlarking. You turn off, switch off, and you're rewarded at the end of the day. Some days you're not. Some days you are. And I don't mean financially. I mean just with the last person to touch that. Or
you get that excitement, don't you? That anticipation, that sort of what am I going to find today?
And even when you get home, you clean your finds, you research your finds. It's fantastic. It just keeps on going. It's a great hobby. And with metal detecting, there's so many good metal detectors now coming out as well. It's just going to get more and more. So yeah, we're lucky to have these as hobbies.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to Alderney actually detecting next June. I was invited over to go detecting there, so that should be interesting because there's quite a lot of history, obviously, over on that island. From very, very early Iron Age type, right up to World War II. So that should be interesting.
Go on, Adrian.
Just quickly, do you find much ammunition?
Yeah, I do find a lot of ammunition. Actually, I found an unexploded hand grenade a few years ago. Yeah, so I called the police and they came along and they got the ordnance squad and they detonated it. And it was great because I got to film it as well, so it's quite exciting.
I'm huffing again here because she's just doing it again, and she's finding all these things that I want to find.
A lot of goodness. And I have to say, I did actually find a gun a couple of days ago, and I just need to pop down to the police station. It's been in the water for so long, it's just completely covered in barnacles and stuff. But obviously, when you find any kind of ammunition like that, you do need to report it to the police pretty pronto.
Yeah.
A fantastic segue with the World War stuff we were talking about. Tell us about the case of love lost. Is that correct?
Oh gosh, you mean the letters?
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. I mean, I must admit, I've put it on the back shelf a bit. I get so many projects that I'm doing that I get so many things I try to do at the same time that sometimes I have to put some aside. But yes, one of the people who watch my YouTube channel, they said they had this big box of letters that was found in a skip. In fact, it's the second time this happened to me now, but this is very interesting. It's a huge amount of letters from a man who fought in World War II and had numerous love stories in his life, as well as being very intelligent man, very interesting, but he had lots of love stories. But what was particularly interesting is I discovered some letters in this case written by a woman called Willa Martin. And Willa Martin ended up marrying Barbara Bush's father. So yeah, quite a prominent person in American history. So I've got all these handwritten letters by Willa Gray Martin, who at this time was having this very passionate affair with this chap who was fighting in World War II. So yeah, it was incredible, this box. I mean, crikey, actually, just now you've mentioned it, it makes me want to go and get all the letters out again. So that is another project.
It looks fascinating. I mean, and that's on your website, tidalart.com. Tidelineart.com.
Yeah.
And your YouTube channel, can we share that on the screen, Dave? Or
if you hold on one moment, I will, because I'm not sure if Luke is.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube and put in Mudlarking, you'll see somebody standing there with a stripy top on, and it's Nicola White to Mudlark. So, and there's lots of great Mudlarking YouTube channels actually. So, check them all out.
And 122,000 subscribers.
Yeah, wow. Nearly 123 actually.
Come on, everyone, subscribe.
I'm already subscribed.
Yeah, I am as well. Yeah,
I think I was about number 7, to be honest, Adrian.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's bedtime watching for me. When I go to bed at night, I love watching metal detecting videos, sadly, and things, but mudlarking as well. And mudlarking I enjoy a little bit more because you get nicer scenery, you get action, and in the field when metal detecting, you predominantly find a lot of historical items, but mudlarking you find some modern day things, sometimes not nice things, sometimes weird things. It is just a lot more bizarre finds compared to metal detecting, I think. And that's what I think makes it more exciting. And being in London as well, you get a hell of... I mean, you must find... You said you found a gun. Things like, sadly, drug needles and all kinds of malarkey in there as well.
You do find all sorts of very strange things. Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff gets thrown in the river. People tend to forget that the tide goes down.
Yeah. What do you actually use? Obviously, do you wear gloves? Do you use a trowel?
I use a trowel. I actually use a trowel all the time, a handmade trowel by my friend Graham Anderson, who makes these beautiful hand-turned bespoke trowels with has my name engraved on it. This is one in spare because I've lost so many trowels, but no more because now you can attach them.
Exactly the same thing we use in metal detecting for our pinpointers. So that's a bit muddy, that one. That's been not clean, but
I just can't. I mean, I would just be completely lost without my handmade trowels.
That's really, really nice. And that's a guy. Who's that again?
He's called Graham, and he's on Instagram, and it's Gander2439 on Instagram, and he makes these. He's got all sorts of different woods, and he hand turns it, and it's an archaeological trowel. So
that's lovely. That's really nice
trowel.
Yeah. Oh, that might go on my Christmas list.
Yes. I would recommend it. It's just something just so lovely about holding a trowel like that. Yeah.
So apart from that, just how do you?
Sorry. Gloves. I have like a like a searcher. I actually use a searcher little bag thing around my waist to put my finds in. I've got knee pads. I can't do without knee pads because getting down on the ground to sort of scrape around. And I've got a few little containers to put things in. So, you do end up with quite a lot. A rucksack with a bigger bag in case you find something like a cannonball. I
was just about to say that. I always carry a rucksack because, if you find something heavy or a lot of waste, you've got to carry it, haven't you? So,
yeah, exactly. And my camera to film and my phone, you need to take so much with you. I mean, it's always a good idea to take a phone with you in case you get into trouble anyway. But of course, it's nice to be able to take photos of your finds. And my boots, you couldn't do that. My boots.
I'm being prompted to ask you a very, very important question. It's probably the most important question that we ask on the show. When you're cooking on your hob, what's your favourite hob position? What's your go-to ring?
Do you use gas or electric?
It's always front right.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicola. Are you left? Is that gas or electric?
No, it's electric. I wish it was gas, but it's always front right.
Yeah.
Kerry's just predicted that.
Are you left? Are you left or right-handed, Nicola?
Right-handed.
Yeah. So it's Thank you.
Do you know when you're walking past your stove and you've got the arm of the pan sticking out, how easy it is to knock it off the stove, don't you? It's health and safety. It's just you need the back.
Dave, it depends where your oven's located.
What, like in the kitchen or the shed or upstairs in the bathroom?
If you imagine a U shape, mine's in the base of the U. So no one's going to be walking past it. And I make sure I move the handle just in so it doesn't get knocked.
I know. Yeah. I never have the handle sticking out.
No. Thanks for that, Nicola. That's settled a lot of disputes. Yeah. I'll sleep tonight.
Oh, good. I'm glad I got the right answer.
Back left's the right answer.
No. I think it's a southern.
It's the second choice. If I have to have two going at the same time, it's
mine. Yeah, back left would be mine. Second choice, actually, but not first choice. Definitely not. No. I think it's a northern thing, Nicola.
Okay. Hey, Adrian, have we got any more questions for Nicola?
Yeah, but I'll have to stop because I could talk to Nicola all night. There's so many questions. And I hope we've asked you some that are new and not what people ask you all the time.
Oh, it's been a huge pleasure. I've really enjoyed talking to you about. I could talk about mudlarking until the cows came home. So any excuse.
No,
well, you're more than welcome to come on any point in the future. Whenever you want to come on, give us a shout so we can organise it, and we will try and ask different questions. And I think I'll go on the left, and Adrian can go on the right. No, sorry, I'll go on the right, and Adrian can go on the left. So we all look in different places.
4 screens and use it like a hob.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no, we should. Because right now I'm sort of like in the middle. So.
No, hopefully one day, Nicola, because I only live half an hour from London, so one day I'll be walking along the Thames and see you and give you a shout.
Adrian, I'll tell you what you can do. If you want to organise it, why don't you go down and meet Nicola one day, not to mudlark with her, but to write a feature for Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine about a day in the life of a mudlarker.
As long as it was in a pub, that sounds fantastic.
There you go.
Great idea. Great idea. Yeah. And I'd love to go detecting one day if that would be possible.
There you go, Adrian. You could take a detecting.
Yeah. You're more than welcome. Definitely. We'll get in touch. I'm busy the next few months because there's lots of machines coming out. So I'm busy just trying to use them in the field and stuff. So, but yeah, definitely when the weather gets better in the new year, it'd be quite normal. It'd be nice when dawn's down because dawn's
that would be great.
And I can get us some nice crisps. And then,
we can all do a dance then, can't we?
But that'd be good. That'd be good, actually. But
I think Dawn's a bit disgusted that the mince pie crisps have been recalled.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I take my hat off to Dawn for trying mince pie crisps. I couldn't do that.
I like mince pies and I like crisps.
Yeah, no, I like the sound of that mince pie crisp.
In fact, I'll have to get some mince pies on the way to work tomorrow now.
I'm just in trouble because I got my pinpointer out a few minutes ago and it had mud all over it, and there is mud. I dropped it and it's gone everywhere. And my wife's out at a Christmas party tonight, and she's going to come home thinking, "What have I done?" But
well, if she's drunk, mate, she won't notice.
True.
Blame it on one of the kids. I know they're all grown up and left home, but blame it on them anyway.
They haven't left home, Dave. Not in this day and age. They just need to find 100,000 deposit for a house down here, and they'll be fine. But yeah, that'll be a while. So yeah.
Nicola, is there anything else you'd like to add? Any places to point people to keep an eye on your work and such like?
No, I don't think so. I think we've said it all really. Obviously, do go over and check out my YouTube channel. But go if you're interested in mudlarking too, go over onto Instagram, put in hashtag mudlarking, and you'll come up with the whole community of people who have some amazing finds, and you could spend a lot of time getting lost down rabbit holes. And yeah, it's well worth it. It's a great hobby. It really is. And so, and if anybody wants to know anything about it, feel free to go to my website and contact me via the contact page.
Fantastic.
Which is tidelineart.com.
And what was it? Ko-fi?
Oh, and my Ko-fi account, which is where I sell my art. But if you go on my YouTube channel, there's a little link up at the top, that you can press to go straight to it. So
Brilliant.
Everything links in to, and it's all Tideline Art, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's all there, So.
Head over there, like, subscribe, and also people new watching the show tonight. It'd be very nice if they liked our show, Dave, wouldn't it? As well.
It would, yes, it would indeed.
We're very much appreciated.
You'll find keep an eye on us on currently on the Big Detecting Show. Sorry, Big Detecting. I'm going to have to check. BigDetectingShow.com, and the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine will be back up and running very, very soon. May even have a new look, and we're going to be hopefully a lot more content and different bits and bobs coming up on there as well. Next week we have somebody who started out as a mudlarker, and now his profession is that of an archaeologist, Mr. Steve Tomlinson. Fantastic chap. Love his. He found a very. It was a massive Roman pot intact, and I think it was in Kent Way. But you'll be able to learn more all about that and what he's doing in the world of archaeology now as well next week. Following week, another big guest, big guest, hopefully. And he's coming all the way from America. He's not traveling over here. Daryl Miklos from Cooper's Treasure. And hopefully he'll be coming live from his shop with a wide range of the 1715 fleet treasure in it as well. So that's on the 23rd. But we just got to confirm a couple of days before. But that's you're right. Oh, and on the 30th, am I right in saying Addicted to Bleeps?
Yeah, he just needs. I spoke to him this week. I need to give him another call probably tomorrow and just check with him. He's got a few problems at the moment with his van. Anyone who's subscribed to him on YouTube, it nearly killed him. His van did. So he's poor old boy. Yeah, so he's got a lot going on at the moment. So hopefully he'll be able to come on. He loves coming on the show, and we love Chris coming on as we do all the other guests. So
absolutely. Yeah. Right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks again, Nicola. It's been an absolute pleasure tonight. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. It was an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you for watching. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Let me just see if Luke's back yet. Good night.